it probably may not be the biggest of the projects you want to look at, but hey, in a cosmopolitan city, that the biggest of our challenges certainly, beyond aside security, had to do with movement around Lagos. You spend so much time, on traffic. By the way, I think we need to quickly draw the attention of the Lagos state government. There's a very crazy traffic that has, started off all the way from Oshodi down to Bagada right now. That whole axis is blocked. And from what I gathered before I came up, on air, I was told that there's a bad part in Oshodi where it was flooded, so vehicles cannot move freely. So I imagine a traffic that started from Oshodi all the way down to Bagada. I think the traffic people in Lagos need to look into that. But back to the Blue Line Rail project. I feel. I've always said it that leadership is not rocket science. It's not casting stones. It's not. It's not. You don't need to have two heads to be a good leader. It's basically just sitting down with the right people, making the right decisions, and just putting the right policies, right project on ground, just to help the people to have a good life, a quality life. Is as simple as that. And I need to give a lot of credit to the Lagos state government on this one, the management of Lamata, the hospitality, the reception yesterday, the guys on board. I mean, of course, trust Lagosians. The rush was crazy. Of course, it's peak period. Everyone is off the island, wanting to get off to the mainland. So the rush was crazy. But when I was coming back, I think it had to be one of the best times I've been on any train anywhere in the world. Big shout out to Amida. I did doing our own in-house head of production here. We were together yesterday, and you need to keep your dad locked on Milan 98.3 FM. We have something really special on that package for you, and also we'll post visuals of it on our social media platforms so that you can see how the media is not just about criticizing the government. When there are little wins, we always gather to celebrate it. So big ups to the Lagos state government on that one. So let's get straight up into the conversation today. Yesterday, I think I was on the show when the news broke that the visa ban by the government of the United Arab Emirates on Nigerians had been lifted after the president met with the Sheikh. That's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, a lot of things had followed that particular news. So I decided to have Dr. Tᴜɪ̀mᴜ Mᴜsɪᴄ join us on the show today to help us understand how this would have any effect on Nigerians at all. I'm a student of public relations, so I'm always so particular about how people are perceived, especially outside of your comfort zone. One of the bigger challenges that Nigerians have faced is the fact that we don't particularly get the biggest of respect, especially when I've been to some cities across Africa where, you drop your green passports and there's this cold reaction towards you, and it just makes you feel like a second class citizen of the world. Of course, we all knew the drama that followed, that led to the ban by the United Arab Emirates government on Nigerians, on some specific Nigerians, obviously the larger part of Nigerians that usually go down to Dubai and all of that. But the ban was lifted yesterday after about a year. And so I'm going to be engaging Dr. Tᴜɪ̀mᴜ Mᴜsɪᴄ on some of these conversations today. By the way, the first time I met Dr. Tᴜɪ̀mᴜ Mᴜsɪᴄ, I was wondering when I got through his profile and I saw that he's actually a medical personnel. His knowledge of general conversations is really immense. Dr. Tᴜɪ̀mᴜ Mᴜsɪᴄ, good evening. Good to have you live on Milan 98.3 FM today.
Okoyemi, good evening. Nice to have you on the live program.
And
Thank you.
I want to appreciate you for the short notice, and as usual, you agreed to be on the show. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Before we get into the conversation, Dr. Tᴜɪ̀mᴜ Mᴜsɪᴄ, I saw something about you online where you talked about you dissected the universal health coverage in Nigeria, and you looked at some of these things. Let's talk about the appointment of the Minister for Health. It's the Ministry of Health in Nigeria is one particular ministry that have not enjoyed the best of, patronage from the government. Let me put it that way. We don't have the best of facilities, not even in West Africa. You go to hospitals, even federal medical centers are in a deplorable situation. Of course, at the constant strike by the Nigerian Medical Association, all of this. What exactly do you think should be the priority of the Minister of Health right now? Let's start from there.
Well, let's get it straight. You are not going to change health by just appointing ministers. There are a lot of inputs into health. That's what we call input. Input means that what's your investment in health? We're talking about the infrastructure. We're talking about human resources for health. We're talking about so many other things. Equipment, process. Then there's a process in terms of health. What do you do? There's outcomes, there's output. Output appears to be the final thing. Now, I empathize with whatever minister has been appointed. I know the pensions, I know party, and all the work he's been doing, and I know the young man, who is also very versatile in terms of health. But you are resting on a country with how many population? More than 200 million people, and barely having 43,000 doctors working. What would that do in a country like this? I mean, if you really want to deal with health systems, you have to actually step a bit back and start looking at those deficiencies and looking at the gaps. The only way you can look at the gaps is to convoke a summit that will be very useful to that. But having said that, I expect that the present ministers chosen should be able at least to look at the level of primary health care and lay the foundation for scaling up the health system. And one of the key things you can do to scale up the health system is by enhancing and pushing for health knowledge, health information, health knowledge, sincerely push for the level of health information, health knowledge among the people, and actually drive for education while you are your investment in health care, at whatever level, at every level. So, in reality, we hope that the present couple can halt the decline in health while we think of how to actually improve everything concerning health. So, what can I say? We are hopeful.
Thank you very much, Dr. T. So let's get straight up into the crux of the conversation today. Yesterday, we just got the news from the spokesperson to Mr. President, and saying that the ban on Nigerians traveling into the United Arab Emirates had been lifted after the president met with the the leaders of that particular region. And one thing I'm always so particular about is how Nigerians are perceived outside the shores of this country. I mean, they would always say that the way you present yourself is obviously the way others would accept you. How significant is this particular ban? And in respect to the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates, and secondly, how Nigerians are perceived in that particular country?
Now, UAE is a very strategic country and a partner to Nigeria in a lot of areas. They are the big guys in hydrocarbons and all those things. So in reality, we are close to them in that regard. Secondly, at the level of religion, of course, we're close to them. A lot of Nigerians are Muslims. And thirdly, at the level of trade and investment, UAE appears to be a place where quite a number of Nigeria invested in. And UAE is a hub now for the whole world in terms of tourism, in terms of some innovations. It's a big hub. I don't think any country should, because UAE is so central, I don't think that any country should miss out on UAE. UAE is like the gateway to Europe, gateway to Asia, and of course, another short way to Africa. UAE is quite central in that location, so we cannot then again dismiss the condition and the situation in which Nigerians were thrown out of that country. Now, the negativity became accentuated when it was obvious that Qatar and Emirates were not landing in Nigeria. Etihad and Emirates are not landing in Nigeria. Now, a country that is not having that large number, that's not having even its own national carrier, becomes very challenging, very difficult if it then happens that one of the main carriers that helps to help the country cannot come into the country. So for me, actually, because apart from that, there are security linkages between UAE and Nigeria. Remember the other time when they had to actually pick one of Nigeria's ex-governors. UAE provided a platform for them. When they had to actually pick one of Nigeria's fraudsters, UAE also provided support for them. So we cannot, and then even for the Boko Haram people, when we're seeing a lot of Boko Haram, UAE provided a lot of dossier on the identity of the sponsors of Boko Haram and get to our government. So UAE, the relation with UAE is multifaceted and so central, and in a way must not be discontinuous. So for me, research for me, not just in terms of trade, not just in terms of transportation to the hub of the world, but also strategically in terms of security cooperation and all those stuff. So it's welcome. It's most welcome.
Okay. Going forward, you've actually, brought all of these things out. The bilateral relationship. I mean, the fact that also Nigerians get to travel to those places for leisure, for business, hospitality, and all of that. I remember yesterday night, I saw a friend's status, and he was saying, thank God, we'll go for vacation. And all of these things, but what do we stand to gain, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ in this particular situation, especially with the ban being lifted? A lot of people are saying, well, it's another means for medical tourism, Nigerians traveling and all of that, but it looks like all of the benefit is going to the other side in terms of how much money Nigerians get to spend in those countries, especially around the Emirates. How do we benefit from all of this, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ? And secondly, how can the federal government improve Nigeria's level of acceptance around the world? You present the green passport, and there's this, this stereotype against you. And what can we do to remedy all of these things? Hello? Hello? Hello, Dr. T. Okay, I think we try to link up back with him to see if hopefully we can still connect. We're just trying to look at the benefits of the ban that was lifted on Nigerians. Remember, about a year ago, there was a ban that was placed on Nigerians within a certain age bracket from coming into the United Arab Emirates because of some unfortunate incidents that we saw the videos everywhere. So, Dr. T, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a break in the discussion, but again, I'm back.
Okay.
Let me tell you, it's not just, we tend to look at it as a one-way benefit. I doubt if it is. UAE is becoming a big center for innovation and research. Big center for innovation and research, so which, of course, Nigeria can benefit from. Like I said, the transition of UAE from what I'll call from petroleum or hydrocarbon to tourist center, a lot of Nigeria can learn a lot of lessons from that. Now, it just depends on the government. President Tinubu had actually gone there and started creating another level of connections and leverage and interaction at the level of economy. And then you have to come to the table and lay down clearly what you want, the kind of cooperation that can happen between you, not just that security, not just the tourism, but again, you leverage on their own experience, exposure, and the fund. Because again, UAE is a big hub in terms of funds, movement of funds, and economic support. When you know that in UAE, there are a lot of venture capitalists that can help you in reality, to run your country, source of fund, and all those things. So Nigeria just a lot of things to benefit in that regard. Now, talking about some experiences about some untoward experiences Nigeria we're seeing in UAE concerning Nigeria, we have to actually do one important thing. UAE needs to do a bit of, Nigeria can also help them, a bit of security checks and leverages on their people. You understand? If you are going to travel to UAE as what? Who do you are? What is your security profile? what benefit are you going to bring, to the people in the UAE? These are critical issues that you have to. It's not just that all-commerce event, whereby quite a number of Nigeria who have security issues and challenges are now allowed to enter the place and lead to cause some problems. So we need to share that kind of intelligence about the quality of people and the kind of people that come around that place to UAE. But on a scale of 1 to 10, we see that quite a number of Nigerians are actually doing great things as far as UAE is concerned, and we must not forget that. Now, it's also important that our embassy in UAE, rise up to its own responsibility by actually following up on all the visas that were taken and the people that were there, and be able to help UAE to manage quite a lot of contradictions amongst Nigerian people. But having said that, you see that on the scale of 1 to 10, it also benefits us in a way. You don't create benefit by just wishing it. You create benefit by negotiating it. You don't get what you want in that, you get what you negotiate. So, and it becomes important that we should be able to sit down and look for extra things that we can gain from UAE and then negotiate it.
So it looks like it's a win-win situation for everyone. I mean, Nigerians go there, spend some amount of money, and in return, I mean, all of the things you put on the table, which is really interesting. So the other part of the conversation, Dr. Tᴜɪ̀nᴛᴛᴇ, is the fact that the Nigerian government always have a role to play beyond just having, embassies around some of these countries. The way Nigerians are perceived. In fact, some months back, a cousin of mine wanted to come into Nigeria, and then he wanted to get his passports renewed. He got to the Nigerian embassy in New York, and they told him that there are no booklets, there are no papers to whatever it was he needed to do, and he just tells us that the Nigerian government needs to do a lot more. So how do you think we can work on this? I've seen how Nigerians are being treated in some places. Quite unfortunate. I mean, in some countries that share strong bilateral relationship with Nigeria. What can we do to improve all of these things, Doctor, so that we don't go to these countries and despite our investment, we still see ourselves as, second-class citizens. And these things don't happen to other countries.
Well, I understand your perspective. Where you see, most of these narratives, it depends on what we accentuate, what we drive forward in our narratives. And let's face it, I can also tell you a lot of stories about Italians, a lot of stories about Russians, even in Boston, in so many parts of America, and even in so many areas. And the dominant narration, as far as Nigeria is concerned, is for people to look at what something that is wrong with Nigeria and use it to define us. There's a lot of things that is good with us, and we have to tell our stories. Okay? We have to tell our stories. You don't want to go into America and not be able to find Nigeria being relevant in terms of education, in terms of innovation, in terms of part of their health system, in terms of their industrialization. The same thing with UK, where you see them partaking in their politics. Then, if you go to South America, you see a lot of Nigerian culture being exposed and exported all around the world. Now, the question is that, what narration are you giving to the world? What are you showing to the world? Everybody has their own share of criminality, anybody in the world. But the point is that, what role are you playing as the government, as the ambassador, as High Commissioner, to drive the dominant narration as far as the country is concerned? It becomes important. And then the starting point is that if the country is not there for me, even when I'm abroad, I tend to move back from them. I tend to really go away from them. I tend to drop their passport. So what we're looking at is that now there are roles, especially by the High Commissioners or ambassadors, there are roles by Nigeria government, as you said, there are roles by the citizens, okay, and there are roles by security people. Because if you find out that people that have questionable integrity and character are picking passports and picking visas and running to some country, it helps you to inform your ambassador, it helps you to inform your High Commissioner, so that they can have a way to manage them and follow them up, okay? That becomes important. You may say, well, you are controlling their freedom, but it's better to let them know that once once you are committing a crime, your freedom becomes compromised. It's as simple as that. So what we need to start showing, like the president has done right now, by calling everybody, by saying, okay, all my ambassadors come home, let's come and have a new briefing. It's a new time to actually restart and rethink how embassies is run. If we keep having such a wide number of embassies and we cannot maintain them, it's bad for us. You can then be able to see how to merge, and create consuls instead of re-embassy when you know that the money, the challenge of running the embassy could be Herculean. So for me, managing the embassy, our ambassadors, the government here, citizens, discussing, putting into the fore the basic narratives, what we should be pushing out to the world, talking to the world about Nigeria. All these things are very important.
Thank you very much. Well, in case you're just tuning in, you're live on Mainland 98.3 FM. This is the Situation Room, and this program focuses on policies and politics. I will talk about leadership, we'll talk about governance, especially those things that affect our daily existence as a people, as a country, in respect to what we ask from the government in terms of dividends of democracy. I mean, we critique some of this conversation and we bring in experts to help us understand some of the more complicated ones. So today on the show, I have Dr. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mgsmåɪᴜᴜᴜ joining me on the show, and we start off with his opinion in respect to the newly appointed Minister of Health, and he made it very clear, beyond just appointing a minister. Totally agree with that. We also looked at the announcement that was made here saying that Nigerians can start traveling to the United Arab Emirates immediately. I don't know how much of a good news this is for you listening, but hey, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mgsmåɪᴜᴜᴜ it's a win-win for everybody, but maybe more of a win for Nigerians. Now, let me ask you again, Dr. T, before we open the conversation, the messages are quite dropping already, and I'm sure a lot of people want to join us on the show today. There was a lot of excitement the moment the president appointed the service chiefs. A lot of credits I was saying in terms of the spread, the appointments, where the chief of army staff, the chief of air staff, naval staff all went and all of that. But it looks like all of the buzz had gone down. Dr. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mgsmåɪᴜᴜᴜ, there's been constant report, especially in the last 10 days in the media, attacks, in some key areas in the country. Are we really on the right path, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴜ Mgsmåɪᴜᴜᴜ, of restoring security of lives and properties of Nigerians?
Well, for any president that comes, it's become expedient, and both politically and economically and otherwise, for him to define those people that are going to work with him. Okay? And then if he says that, listen, for me to have comfort and be able to have that control, I need a new fresh of ideas, a new fresh of blood to work with me. You cannot force him for doing that. I think it's appropriate. Now, the second thing is that, we're looking at it, that what has happened since those new service chiefs came on board. Now, you may not actually see the kind of optics you're expecting immediately, because some of the security challenges takes time. And then people should also understand, security is not just about bashing guns, it's not about blazing guns, bashing people, throwing bombs, and killing bodies. Security is about people having economic prosperity. Security is about people having jobs. Security is about people being able to feed their family. It's about people having confidence in the government. So all these things must be added together, must be aggregated to drive the kind of security you are looking at. So for us, yes, you have appointed them, but there are other aspects of security, other aspects that can enhance security which you have to work on. Economy is one of them, and then because the more depressed, the more poverty you see in the country, the more insecure the country becomes. And then trust in government becomes also important, because if you don't trust in government, they form a lot of minor rules that can be dangerous, that can be a threat to the security concerns. But having said that, I don't really feel that the extent of attacks that has come since then is as much as what we've seen. We've seen some killing of one or two people in the southeast. The southeast part of this nation is a bit quiet. The northeast is not having a lot of reportage of violence. But we're seeing a lot of that in the northwest and some north central, especially Niger area. Of course, this one has to do with the extraction of a lot of minerals and illegal miners. So because you understand where all these things are coming from, and illegal miners, operating in a lot of those areas. So now, as you streamline and try to deal with poverty challenge of the people, as you try to give them hope, as you try to actually make them have confidence in your government, then the security of your people becomes better. So now it is still where the government came in March 29, and then here we are when we're in September. So it's 5 to 9. That's like 4 months that we're looking at. It's not even up to 4 months in a way that we're still looking at. So in essence, we should be a bit patient and look at how all these things aggregate together. When the election verdict is concluded in the Supreme Court, when the government starts driving investment and start to create industry, when the service chiefs now are equipped sufficiently and people can have more confidence in government to give them information, I foresee the security situation improving. But now, don't let us. I love one of my godmother who used to tell me, make haste slowly. Let's learn to make haste slowly. Where sometimes we can be too much in a hurry to see the direction, to see what we are expecting. But let's make haste slowly.
Okay, Dr. T, now you mentioned the Supreme Court. Last week, Wednesday, the appeal courts are sitting over the presidential election petition tribunal, throughout the appeal of both the Labour Party, the PDP, and the APM, challenging the legitimacy of the February 25th presidential election that brought in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And upon that, judgment, both the Labour Party and the PDP released statements that they would, pursue, obviously falls within their constitutional rights to the Supreme Court, still challenging the judgment of that. But a lot of people have been coming. I think a few days after, the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, was saying that the opposition should come together and support this government and all of that. What do you make of that judgment? And what do you make of, the reaction that followed? And before we open up, you could also help us to chip in quickly. Now that, in quotes, the distraction is away from the APC. Of course, there's still the Supreme Court. What should be the focus of the government right now?
Indeed, let me say one thing. I am not a lawyer, okay, and this is my belief. We create institutions to help human interactions in our society. If I'm in dispute and I approach an institution, we should learn to respect the institution. There's no perfect institution anywhere in the world. I remember Al Gore and George Bush election, how it came to be. I remember how Boris Johnson lost the post. A lot of things, but when we have institutions, we should learn to observe limits. Because if I say, I'm not happy with you, and I say that, okay, please adjudge the case, let me see what's happening. And then it happens that the thing goes certain way, not in my favor. I must be able to measure my speech, not denigrate the institution, or mess up the institution or destroy the institution because it's not going my way. In a regularly organized society, we must understand what limits are. There must be a limit to what I can say, what I must do if I want the society to grow. So, when I see a lot of people now turn a proper court judgment where 5 judges sat down and gave adduced evidences and gave judgment. When there are people that turn it into media court, where they have to really, review and think about judgment and write against those judgments and all that, I wonder that where do they want to go again? Allow these people to go to Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court finishes, everybody, sit down, we learn. Because most of the time, if there are gaps, we use the gap to learn and improve our institutions. If we use the gap to condemn and denigrate and tear our institutions apart, it's not going to be of help to any one of us. So for me, the judgment has been passed. The people have the chance to go to Supreme Court. If they're not happy, then they've gone to Supreme Court. All other things are just side talks, which are unnecessary, eating up the politics, denigrating institutions are causing a lot of stress for us. I don't think it's necessary. Frankly, I don't think it's necessary. So we must be able to stay within that limit of the law or whatever institution that is guiding our interaction and respect it. That if we don't respect it, we are disrespecting ourselves.
Now let's talk about the APC. And in courts, the distraction of the appeal court of the petition tribunal is off now. and pending when the judgment would come in from the Supreme Court. Now, what do you think should be the focus of this government? It's been about 110 days in office right now, even though I feel it's just, sometimes an unnecessary pressure, especially with the whole 100 days conversation. But what is the way forward now? What is the next line of thoughts for this administration now? Beyond just the palliatives that we're seeing, where should the focus be right now, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛ?
Yes, sir. What happened is that, what is the focus? First and foremost, I have said that I was expecting this government to wake up and start finding ways to unite the country. Okay? Find ways to unite the country. Very important. The country is so divided, everything to help unite the country and restore hope. At least, I think the mantra is hope restored. Unite the country, restore hope, give people, some real things to believe. Real reason to believe in the country. That is very important for APC, because you cannot. It's not. Election is over. You now belong to the whole country. The second thing is that we're having this big bunch of population of youths that needs hope, that you must provide job for, that they must look up to you and feel that they have a future, they have a country. You have to do something about them. How do you do something about these youths? You have to touch their education. You have to touch the entertainment industries that can help them. You have to touch innovation. These guys have a lot of energy. Their brain is working so fast. We should stop bashing the millennials. We should stop bashing the Gen Z. The Gen Z bashing should stop right away. We must understand that in any way, they may not think like us, but they have their own identity and they are right in their own identity. So we should be able to give them that kind of hope and assurance, and then through helping their innovation, through helping their entertainment, through their education. Then you now come to the general population. We must be able to tackle two critical areas of security, health, and feed and agriculture, food. So these are the things you lay basis for inclusivity in governance. So, but if you start looking at everybody as opposition, they don't do this, you are going to create a lot of frictions. You are going to accentuate the centripetal forces, pulling apart every aspect of the country. I think the government needs to really think around that line. So how do we bring the country together? And I've said clearly, bring them together. Touch the youth, touch the health system, touch education, touch feeding. And then security will be enhanced. And then we move on from there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛ Mσκολɪᴜ. I would have to let you go now. I will still keep the conversation going. Once again, I really appreciate you spending time with us on the show today.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you, and have a very good evening, Dr. Mσκολɪᴜ. Okay, that's it. Well, I promised I wasn't going to take much of his time from the movement. It's clear that he had a lot going and all of that. Well, that was Dr. Tᴜɪᴛ Mσκολɪᴜ. He's a public health practitioner, and of course, it's quite a conversation when it comes to issues of the country, nation building, making progress as a people. And he said quite a lot of things. And I think the last 1 week, especially in respect to the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, just make me totally believe in what my guest, Dr. Tᴜɪᴛ Mσκολɪᴜ, just said. I think the bigger challenge or the bigger expectations from the APC-led government is that Nigerians need to come together. Whether we like it or not, the beauty of democracy is when people have alternatives. That is why I would never in any way see any sense in having a one-party or two-party system of government. People should have options. I mean, there was a time in this country where we had about, over 70 political parties on the ballot. The last election in 2023, we had about 18 of them, and not even all of them fielded presidential candidates. What that gives us is that if Party A is not giving you what you want, you have the option of choosing Party C or Party D or Party W. That's the beauty of democracy. And whether we like it or not, again, we need to also know that people would always have reasons not to necessarily believe in your own political ideology. I don't have to be a member of a party XYZ because that is your party. I have the option to choose because I believe in this party's ideology, I believe in this party's opinion, And as such, once we're done with politics, everybody should close ranks. Everybody should come together and find a way to fix this country. Why we keep making the conversation up? And last week I was watching a report on one of the national, stations talking about how some states were sharing the palliatives along party line. And I didn't just get angry. I just looked at the fact that it seems some of the leaders that we have don't understand what it means to be in the position of power, in a position of authority. I mean, imagine in a case where you won your election as a president, and because a certain region did not vote for you, you decided not to develop that region. You decided to, sideline that region. You decided to, blacklist that region in terms of development, in terms of appointment, in terms of, empowerment, in terms of infrastructures that you fix in those places. It's a distasteful thing to do. I think that's about the least way I could actually explain it. So when election is come and gone, the fact that you became a governor on the platform of party XYZ does not mean the other people around the other political parties don't have opinion in respect to how they should be governed. I don't pay my tax based on my party affiliation. No, I don't pay my tax because I'm party WXYZ. I don't do anything. No. Once my civil responsibilities once I'm expected to do my responsibilities, nobody cares about my political affiliation. Nobody cares about my tribe. Nobody cares about my religious sentiment. I'm a Lagosian. I'm a Nigerian. I'm an African. I'm a citizen of the world. That is the most important thing. And I would always appeal to our leaders at every single space we've had this conversation. The people first. In terms of policies, the people first. In terms of development, the people first. In terms of laws that we make, whether as a legislator, it's the people first. At every single level, every single government policies must be centered around improving the quality of lives of the people. We cannot overemphasize this particular situation. So when people get into office and they say, of all the 20 local governments in my state as a governor, I won 15. So the other 5 local governments, I voted for my opponent, or I would not. And I'm like, interesting times. Mr. Governor, you're not a governor of 15 local government out of 30. You're a governor of your state. So nobody cares who voted for you or not. The most important thing is that maybe when you get to the APC or the PDP or the Labour Party or the XYZ, Governors Forum, you can choose to have your alignment. But as long as it means making policies to improve the life of the people, hey, it is the people first. I don't care whether I voted for you or not. As long as I pay my tax, I should see what my taxes are being used for. And that's a fact. So when people bring up policies and then you hear people whipping up sentiments like, the party didn't vote for me, or this is House of Reps and the representative from this place is from party XYZ. And I'm like, I don't understand. It's good enough that people have their political affiliation. It's the democracy, by the way, and that's the beauty of it. You can choose to go left, extreme left, right, or just stay calm as you want to be. But then I'm always of the opinion that people should participate in politics. People should get involved, vote, put yourself up to be voted in office. Don't just stay behind your keypads, your phones, your laptops, your tabs, and just constantly throw shades at government when you did not even vote. But that aside, the government also owes the people responsibility of delivering dividends of democracy to them. I mean, government come into office and then they constantly blame the previous government. The reason why they voted you into office is to right the wrongs of the previous government. So why would you come on space and you start saying, my predecessor, the last administration borrowed money and they didn't give account of how they spent the money. That was not the reason why they voted you into office. They voted into office because the people felt you can get better. You can deliver, better dividends of democracy to them. I think we need to have an idea of how leadership truly, works. I don't know. Maybe you do. 0913-600-0410. The line have been buzzing. Barrister Peter Oko, good evening.
Yeah, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
Yes. I'm interested in the issues you are discussing. You see, my personal opinion on the state of the nation as of today, and as a lawyer, I believe that we are not on the right track, to be honest with you. I'm highly disappointed at what happened on Wednesday on this
petition tribunal.
Yes. You see, if you ask me, it is a distraction. It is a waste of our scarce resources. In fact, if it was possible, I would jump out of my skin, you know, because why should we waste so much money on election? You know, when people are starving to death, it is a waste of time. We have to restructure this whole thing. We're not on the right track. You know, I have American citizenship, but for personal pride, I refuse to go and live in America because I cannot make much difference there. You know, I can make a difference here. But what is going on is not encouraging at all. You know, I'm overseas, so I cannot japa. So we stay here and we have to salvage this thing. You know what Martin Luther King said some time ago? He said it is more honorable for you to die while fighting for what you believe in than for you to keep quiet and remain a slave to a fellow human being. You know, we cannot continue like this, my dear friend. You know, so my suggestion is that it is time for us to apply civil disobedience. Because it is our fundamental human right. Government cannot be pushing us around. We must refuse to take part in the next election unless they restructure this country.
Okay.
That's my contribution.
Barrister Peter Oko, please just stay on the line a little bit. Just give me about a minute. I understand your position that protests and demanding good governance from our leaders is part of our constitutional right. But telling the people and not to participate in the next election will not give us anything better than what we have right now. That's the fact. Calling for civil disobedience is obviously not the way to go. I understand. I mean, you can protest, you can, show your displeasure about some government policies and all of that, but boycotting election, I don't think that's a proper way to go. But thank you very much, by the way. I just had to quickly set the record straight so that we don't, send the wrong message out to the people. Hello, good evening.
Hello, bro.
Good to have you join us on the show today. You're welcome, Mr. Paul.
Well, at times we defend indefensible. Are you saying we cannot boycott what is boycottable? I'm asking you,
Mr. Paul. I don't understand what you mean by boycottable. I think it's one word I'm using.
Not like what? Because in this country, you elect somebody, you reject somebody at the poll. He will go to tribunal, she will go to tribunal. Tribunal now will declare the person winner. Is that democracy? Look at J-Love. Certain people next said they win all this election. Is that democracy, if I may ask you? We have to be very concerned in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. 09136000410. Let me talk to you, Foma. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Akpayemi.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Ekusheno.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just start from where your guest end. Let me start from this way. You always emphasize the 100 days of the office of the president, and yet we are yet to see the unity of the nation. Let me also take you back when the former vice president spent 105 days under fear of this country. There was a peace across board. There was no, if you notice very well, he worked for the unity of this nation. He bring everybody together. There was no disunity. Immediately the boss returned, everything went back to normal. When this president, because he's a president too, when he came in, thank God for the people he retained, but at the end of the day, do you know what we are lacking? Number one, we are not have the leader of the people. Most of the people there, they're all deceived. You always emphasize of the palliative. In the days of Buhari, across board, all of the governors receive palliative. Do we see the effect of the palliative in the life of the people? The answer is no. The current president now, the palliative also he also gave us. Saw what that happened in Ogun State. One of the local government chairman was lamenting that the palliative that the governor have diverted to another place. So for now, we are not. Thank God that the people vote their mind in this presidential election that just passed. But the INEC disappoints itself, not the people. But we will continue praying as a country, as a nation. But if the Supreme Court also follow the way of the Tribune Court, we will believe God. The Nigeria has spoken their mind, but INEC disappointed. We will pray. But one day, we will see the leader of our dream. Not all just one chance leader. People are celebrating up and down.
Thank you very much, Ufoma, for joining us on the show. OT from Ota is texting and it says the UAE is a competitor to Nigeria, stealing our foreign exchange. What do we buy there that we cannot produce here? Mainly clothes and sundry items banned. We will be banned again soon because of our fraudulent citizens. OT from Ota. Thank you very much. Femi from Bagada says the situation can get better if only Nigerians choose to act decently. I've been in an hotel where Nigerians were fighting in Dubai and they were throwing bottles. I felt embarrassed. Okay. Thank you very much, Femi from Bagada. I didn't get the other part of the message, but thank you for reaching out. Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you, Opeyemi.
Prince Wise, you're welcome.
Thank you, my dear. You see, in democracy, so maybe talking that's a unity. When you have democracy, you can't speak with one voice unless you want one party state. Once you have an opposition, it is seen as if so that's unity in Nigeria. Those who have won, they should not to celebrate it. Those who lost, they should not be too sad. We have to take it as it is. A winner has a match. The court of appeal have spoken. The three we are awaiting Supreme Court. So the losers will expect that the government belongs to all of us. All of us must just hand together to support the claim for it to succeed. If we succeed, it is we to come that we enjoy. If we pray for it, therefore, I never see any president in Nigeria that become a beggar. Start from the living was Obasanjo is living fine. Jonathan is living fine. Babangida is living fine in his home. Likewise, the last president. So, for me, I believe one thing very clear. Anybody that emerge, whether from a lesson, whether from a court, is my president. You must have a winner and you have a loser. But you have a bad loser from an exception. And that is what is not good
Thank
for
you,
us.
Prince Wise.
So as it is now, I'm just about a minute. Let me round up.
Okay.
Our Mr. President to Dubai, I say kudos to him. Because this man, the beginning was so rough. But I believe that at the end of the day, Mr. President will succeed.
Thank you, Prince Wise.
Good evening to you, Opeyemi.
Good evening, and have a very good evening as well. I mean, I find it difficult to really understand what people mean by bad losers. I think it's not a very kind word. And this is what I mean. Election would always come, and then people always have ways of expressing their emotions. You have expectations. Like I was discussing with a very senior colleague on Sunday, I said, in respect to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, a lot of different people, went into the judgment with different expectations. For the APC, they felt, okay, let the court help us to consolidate, let us remain in office. For the PDP, they want the court to declare them winner. The Labour Party want the court to declare them winner. The APM want the president disqualified. So a lot of people, had different expectations for the tribunal based on their investment, their emotional investment in the election. So if your party got into office, I mean, you can't beat me and tell me how to cry. It's as simple as that. So if I partook in the election and the result didn't go the way I wanted it, I have the right to, just express myself. So when people are called bad losers, it kind of sounded really unpleasant, really undemocratic. By the way, yes, you would always lose an election. It's everybody can't win at the same time, especially when we don't have a one-party system. But the fact that you won does not mean the other person is a bad loser. However, way they express themselves. Okay, let me talk to Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mᴜsɪᴄ. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Papa.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
God bless you. Papa.
And
God
you
bless
too.
you. Just spoken my mind. You see, that is why people are still hesitating to accept anything. You see, when people come and call people bad losers, we all saw what happened in the election. Nobody, even the outsiders we invited, came and told us, no, this is not how to conduct election. Yet you still call people bad losers, and that is why you see people angry. Okay, Maria ᴍᴜ Yaradua, when he came, he owned up that the election that brought him to power
Was flawed.
Yes, and he began to take steps to change the electoral laws and then putting things in place so that we have better elections. And then when the present administration is telling you they want fair and square, and we also what happened, it leaves no hope, and that is why people are angry. Good Lord Jonathan, we are celebrating him. Yeah, a hero. He took phone and called Buhari and congratulated him even before the counting ended. Was because the election was free and fair. Did anybody go to court? And obviously, it was Good Lord Jonathan that conducted the election. He was not interested in manipulating anything. We all saw it. And then he took a phone and called the president, Buhari, that, yes, I congratulate you, you have won the election. Then we are hailing. Why wouldn't he do so? Because he saw it clearly. He conducted, he was the one that oversaw the election, was his government. So he saw that no manipulation, nothing, that this person won. So that is the problem.
Thank you.
Yes, the pressure is because of the comment that is coming from those who assume they won the election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just had to, just quickly pull that out. Ade from Lagos is saying that did the government of United Arab Emirates confirm the lifting of the ban? We only heard this from the Nigerian government. I did say this, Mr. Ade, but thank you very much. By the way, if the Nigerian government can come up, with that statement, it is left for the government of the United Arab Emirates to deny it, or also, put up their own position. That's just the simple truth. Thank you very much. By the way, okay, one more call before we call it done the show. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello. Okay, you always know how the rule is. Once I connect with you, you have to put down the volume of your radio sets. Lucky, you're calling back. Hello.
Good evening. Okangolina from Maluku.
You're welcome.
My brother, let me tell you, we also have bad winners. Those are the people that will tell you to go to court, knowing that the court will still favor them, even with all the wuru that happened in election. Okay. That's the thing. Go to court.
Okay, Belina, where are you taking this conversation?
What they will get in court. And they will come and tell you, go to court, and that you are a bad loser. They are the bad winners. Brother, that is it. So we congratulate all of them.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, no more calls. Apologies. The calls still keep coming in. I'm sorry. Now, tomorrow we're going to have a very interesting conversation. Last week, I had the People's Democratic Party House of Assembly candidate in the last election for Jeremy Felodun State Constituency 1. That's Honorable Lau. Join me live in the studio. And interestingly, some of the comments I read out after the show, during the show, was people saying, oh, he's not a typical Nigerian politician. That's why he's speaking with object, because he said that, he had decided to stick with PDP despite the fact that he had offers from other political parties. And he also questioned the leadership of his party, the PDP, in respect to the old Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ conversation. And the messages kept coming in, the calls kept coming in, and the bulk of them keep saying, oh, you're not sounding like a typical Nigerian politician. If you continue like this, you cannot win an election. So I ask, who is a typical Nigerian politician? That's going to be the crux of the conversation tomorrow, so don't miss it. We'll have a couple of people join us via phone, maybe one or two in the studio. Let's just talk about the Nigerian political space. Who is a typical Nigerian politician? My name is Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Opeyemi Akendi. It's been a very interesting conversation today. Thank you once again, Dr. Tᴜɪ̀mᴜnᴜ for joining us on the show today. Well, keep it today with us tomorrow. God sparing our lives. 4 o'clock, I will be back. But then, by 5 p.m. today, the news headlines will come through. By 5:30, the full bulletin. And by 6 o'clock, Wale Adigun and the Sport Gang will be back for Sport Cruise. Keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3 FM. And don't forget that when you see something, you say something. Have a very good evening. Bye for now.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM.
I wish the way I was living could stop. Serving rocks, knowing the cops is hot when I'm on the block. And I wish my brother would've made bail so I won't have to travel 6 hours to see him in jail. And I wish that my grandmother wasn't sick or that we would just come up on some stacks and hit a lick. And I wish my homies wouldn't have to suffer when the streets get the upper hand on us and we lose a brother. And I wish I could go deep in the zone and lift the spirits of the world with the words within the song. And I wish I could teach a soul to fly, take away the pain out your hands and help you hold them high. And I wish my homie Butch was still alive and on the day of his death we had never took that ride. And I wish that God could protect us from the wrong so that all the soldiers that were sent overseas come home. And we will never break, though they devastate. We shall motivate and we gotta pray, all we gotta faith. Instead of thinking about who gon' die today, the Lord is gon' help you feel better so you ain't gotta cry today. Sit at the light so long.
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
Headline News on 98.3 Mainland FM.
Good evening. Headline News on 98.3 Mainland FM. My name is Omobola Sandra. President Tinubu directs immediate payment of deceased soldiers' insurance. Federal government inaugurates freight services on Apapa-Ibadan cargo rail. IGP orders arms licenses review, warns owners of illegal weapons. Niger absent as Nigeria, Benin and Togo flag off joint regional maritime operation. Red Cross appeals for over $100 million to help quick hit Morocco. On the foreign scene, 10,000 missing after devastating Libya floods. Egyptians divided over recent niqab ban at schools. And in sports, Bonucci to take legal action against former club Juventus. That's the headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM. Details at 5:30.
Follow us on all our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. On Twitter at Mainland FM. We are the sound of Lagos.
Clock the time. Rock the groove. It's music extravaganza, where the beat gets hotter. Mainland 98.3.
Baby, let's go! The sound of Lagos.
When the airwaves in your market become more and more crowded, it's time to break it open.